Hello, and welcome to today's workshop on ICE enforcement preparation. Thank you for joining us.
We understand this is a hot topic right now, and we want to support you. This timely session provides guidance on how to respond to and manage ICE audits while protecting your organization and employees.
To start, we have an introduction and explanation of the ICE and audit process. The Immigration Reform and Control Act requires employers to verify the identity and employment eligibility of their employees and sets forth sanctions for employment-related violations.
Remember, as an employer, you have rights and you also have responsibilities. Now is the time to prepare and stay ahead of enforcement activity before it arrives at your door.
Where do we start? As an employer, you should be aware that any employee hired after November 6th, 1986 must fill out the Form I-9 with applicable version date upon their first day of hire. This is mandatory for employment. Employers are required to maintain original Form I-9 records on paper or by electronic copy for employees in a secure place. Employers are required to retain these forms for at least 3 years from the first date of employment or 1 year from the date employment ends.
Failing to complete Form I-9 properly can lead to severe penalties, making audits essential for maintaining compliance. Conducting internal audits allows a business to identify and correct errors before an official inspection, demonstrating a good faith effort and commitment to compliance.
For context, various agencies that are involved and have the authority to conduct workplace visits and inspections that you should be aware of include the following: HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, collects and inspects employers' I-9 employment eligibility verification forms and other paperwork for compliance. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They enforce immigration law and can initiate deportation proceedings. ICE agents are not police, but can carry guns and often have jackets or attire that say ICE. USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. They audit employment-related immigration sponsorship. And the DOL, Department of Labor, has the authority to audit I-9 compliance in the context of any other wage and hour audit.
At this point, you may be asking yourself, how can my business prepare itself properly in the event of an audit? Let us tell you now.
First, you will want to know the law. Federal law requires that every employee on your payroll have an I-9 form on file, providing their authorization to work in the U.S. These forms must be completed within 3 days of an employee's hire date. Next, you'll want to inform your management team of what to do in the event of an agency appearing at your work location. They should remain calm and professional, and they should maintain privacy and limit conversations in public areas. You'll want to make sure that all employees' contact information is up to date and perform an I-9 audit to address issues in advance of a raid to be able to present clean and organized files.
This key, this step is key. With increasing enforcement from ICE, having a history of regular internal audits by your business's hiring representative can help better navigate inspections and reduce penalties. By prioritizing audits, businesses can safeguard their operations and maintain a legal workforce.
Now we want to discuss what happens if ICE does show up to your worksite. An official government audit of an employer's I-9s start with a notice of inspection. referred to as NOI, typically giving the employer just 3 days to provide its records. Generally, this notice will request that the employer provides supporting documentation, which may include but is not limited to a copy of the employer's payroll history, a list of active and terminated employees, the articles of incorporation, and business licenses. The recipient of this notice at the location will want to document the following: the date and time of arrival, the name and badge numbers, and ask the agents for their business card. Management will want to take note of how many agents were present and if any other law enforcement agencies accompanied them.
Employers should seek to balance lawful compliance and cooperation with private property rights and a general duty of care for employees. Assigning a member of management for on site response will aid in having a professional point of contact who is aware of the areas that are designated public versus those that are private if agents arrive. Employers can notify employees that they have a right to remain silent, but employers cannot instruct employees not to respond to questions. Company representatives should not be confrontational or obstructive.
Next, we'll discuss how to communicate this with your employees, as once the notice of inspection is received, California employers have additional obligations. That includes posting a notice for the employees within 72 hours of receiving the NOI in the language the employer usually uses to communicate with employees. If the inspection of employee records results in ICE identifying an employee as potentially lacking proper work authorization or having deficiencies in their documentation, the employer must provide the employee with a copy of the government findings relating to the employee, as well as any other information within 72 hours. This notice must be physically given to the employee at the worksite, or if this is not possible, given by mail or given by email.
We understand that this process can rattle a business as they fear being shut down when a raid occurs. Many local employers are worried about how this will affect them and their workforce. According to the Census Bureau data, foreign-born residents account for roughly 40% of workers at lodging businesses and 26% of workers at restaurants in San Diego, which does not distinguish between documented or undocumented workers. For workers, the penalty for giving false immigration or identity documents to an employer can include prison time or deportation.
Due to the sensitive nature of this process, political rhetoric may find its way into the workplace, with an increased focus on immigration enforcement in the headlines. Disagreements can lead to heated arguments or worse, violation of harassment and discrimination policies. The best way to combat this is to ensure that your harassment policy is communicated and training is up to date. Your company policy should include all the protected classes, and your employees and supervisors should have gone through the required training within the last 2 years. New hires and recently promoted supervisors should be trained within 6 months of hire or promotion, while seasonal or temporary employees must be trained within 30 calendar days of hire or 100 hours worked, whichever occurs first.
From a legal standpoint, employers straddle a delicate line, say many employment attorneys. On the one hand, a business needs to take steps to ensure they are hiring legally authorized workers. On the other hand, if the company questions prospective hires too aggressively about their legal paperwork and legal status, they risk that they risk being found guilty of discrimination. Providing timely workforce harassment training ensures the behaviors of employees and supervisors contribute to a respectable, safe, and inclusive workplace.
Next, we will discuss what happens during the ICE audit process. When an employer responds to a notice by producing Form I-9s, HSI agents and/or auditors conduct a thorough inspection of the Form I-9s for compliance. They are looking at what information was provided for the acceptable IDs and copies of identification if stored on file. When HSI finds technical or procedural failures, the employer will receive follow-up documentation and have at least 10 business days to make corrections. Please note, an employer may receive a monetary fine for any substantive violations and uncorrected technical or procedural failures as listed in the corresponding image below. Employers who are found to have knowingly hired or continue to employ unauthorized workers under the under will be required to cease the unlawful activity and may be civilly fined or criminally prosecuted.
While E-Verify is not required, this free platform may be an avenue businesses want to look at to utilize for their employment authorization process. Based on calculations using data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 18% of California businesses were using the program as of March 2025. When document fraud could be a factor facing employers, E-Verify checks government databases to verify employee documents, reducing unauthorized employment at no cost to the employers. There is a due diligence process when hiring to verify and attest to the review of documents presented. Under federal law, a business can face sanctions for knowingly hiring unauthorized workers.
Flores is here to help. As your trusted partner in workplace compliance, we want to remind you that our team is here to support you and answer any questions you may have regarding government enforcement actions on immigration. Our goal is to ensure compliance while minimizing disruptions to your business operations and protecting your rights as an employer. If you need further assistance with understanding ICE enforcement in the workplace, please reach out to your consulting team and we would be happy to advise you. You may direct questions to our office at 619-588-2411. Thank you for attending and have a great day.